Did we just get ourselves a new potential long-term story character for Doctor Who tonight? Let's just talk about it and more. I can't think of a better way to say. Let's just go in and talk about Rogue. Now, before we get too far into what I think about the episode, clearly tonight something kind of happened that may cause discussions. Here you see Jonathan Groff as Rogue and Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor having a intimate kiss. And if you're somebody who is planning to go into comments and talk about Doctor Who going woke and how you don't want to watch it because it's so woke, I have a simple message for you.
Get the fuck out!
So with that message out of the way, let's talk about one of the final episodes of the seasons here, Rogue, which we take Ruby and the Doctor into a Bridgerton timeline period, somewhere similar to what the TV show was like, and they come across a couple aliens and people who aren't supposed to be there, tracking each other and wanting to create their own play. Whether it was the villain of the week with these bird-like shapeshifter creatures that kill the people that they shapeshift into, using them as what they call cosplay, or Rogue, this bounty hunter that is being tasked with taking these aliens in and stopping them from causing more damage. In this episode, we're seeing Ruby trying and enjoy this Bridgerton lifestyle and bringing more of a modern feminine approach compared to what the classic feminine approach was. Then you have the Doctor and Rogue kind of tiptoeing around each other, Rogue thinking that the Doctor is the evil one here at first, and kind of having themselves a flirtmance that turns into a potential romance for the Doctor and Rogue. Now, there's a lot of things I want to say about this episode that work well. Jonathan Groff, I think, does excellent as Rogue. I like his chemistry with Ncuti Gatwa. I felt their back and forth and their parts of the episode were pretty well done. And I bought their chemistry throughout. Now, I look at this episode, and there's plenty of episodes where we see the Doctor able to have a solo love interest. But when Jonathan Groff's kind of character kind of comes to the end and says, "Find me," I want this character to come back because I feel like there's so much unfinished business, and this could be a fun building of this new world with the 15th Doctor, with Ncuti Gatwa, and just really understanding who he is as a Doctor, and just again, I hope Rogue comes back. I believe Rogue will come back. I don't think you cast Jonathan Groff in this role if you don't plan to bring him back in and have this much episode that, kind of dedicated to this new character and the connection to the Doctor. This felt very River Song like. It felt very much like Captain Jack like. So I think Rogue will come back. But part of me wishes this was a 2-episode arc because Ruby kind of got left doing little of nothing. And even though there were some cool lines here about the TARDIS and what the psychic ability is able to do, and we do get some payoff with that in the end, I feel like this episode was stretched really thin while also being pushed together too closely. I felt like we weren't really able to develop the villains too much. They were pretty bland. They weren't overall interesting. And I didn't quite love the idea of them saying as like aliens, let's cosplay. Give them a different name. Not even regular people in the world call it cosplay like that. They call it role play, or cosplay isn't a term that catches on very much. But that's still like minor nitpickies to, I think, a very important episode that only will grow in its in its quality and how much it matters is if Rogue comes back. If we get more Jonathan Groff and the Doctor down the line and other storylines. And like I said, I think we will, given how much time was dedicated to setting up their connection and this potential love interest. Like I said, it felt very River Song. with silence in the library. Again, I really wish this was a two-part episode. We could have got the first episode of the Doctor kind of figuring out maybe something's going wrong with Ruby, enjoying this world more, and then maybe the episode ends with him being locked in with Rogue and finding out, oh, he actually is a different time, dimension agent per se, or a bounty hunter. Perfect way to cliffhanger go into part two. But because we tried fitting this all in the one episode, it just killed the villain storyline. It killed Ruby's storyline. And that means everything about this episode long term depends on if Rogue comes back and this relationship being more than just a one episode off. As a one episode off, though, I'm going to have to give my rating for Rogue a pretty basic gold. It wasn't anywhere as good as most of the series has been so far. We've had some really great episodes like 73 Yards, Dot and Bubble, and Boom. Even Devil's Cord was very, very good. This felt more like Space Babies to me because again, on a one episode base, it just didn't build much overall. I love the chemistry that Judy and Groff have. I think it's important to show these type of relationships, and Doctor Who has always been progressive in what they're inputting into their stories and what they're showing to the public. So I love that this was brought in a different way. I just think that this episode can eventually become kind of a introductory classic that can raise it up into that platinum level if we get more Rogue. But until we see more Rogue, it's going to stay at a gold. We did get a brief Susan Twist cameo in the oil painting per se. Ruby again wondering who is this, and we're going to see next week the Susan Twist, I feel, story arc, as we saw on the preview, get kind of completed, and we'll finally figure out what is going on with Susan Twist and why does she show up everywhere Doctor and the Ruby goes. But without that, again, I love any of the representation that was shown in this episode. I think for people out there, if this is special to them, it should be special, and they have every right to love it more than I did. I just see this as a standalone episode where we need Rogue to come back, or else this will be kind of forgotten from me. But without further ado, like the content here. I can't wait to talk next week about the legend of Ruby Sunday. Looking so forward to getting maybe more answers on Ruby herself, Susan Twist, and everything kind of going behind the scenes this season. And yeah, that's my thoughts. Do you agree with me? Put it down below. Again, I'm going to delete anybody who's trying to call any woke shit here. Like I said, Ari Gold, if you thought that Doctor Who having a guy relationship and a guy kiss was woke and it shouldn't be on TV, get out of my channel. I don't want you around here. That's not what I'm about. I'm advocating for that pretty hard, and especially during Pride Month. But it doesn't really matter if it's Pride Month or not. Those type of relationships, those type of interactions, those type of just everyday life experiences have a place in everyday life. So if you're upset by it, then I don't want to spend time on you. But that's going to be it this episode. Sorry, it's a bit shorter. I didn't have much to say because I felt like that's how the episode kind of was. Bland villain, not much for Ruby, and really just an introductory to a potential relationship for the Doctor. If it isn't going any further than that, then this is kind of a forgettable episode. But that is Rogue, and I will see you next week for The Legend of Ruby Sunday.